Well, out in the woods, as I knew I'd be doing this week. On Monday, pulled runes for Moon Day, and one of the runes was the rune I discovered for myself as greater part of who I am, the Andaman rune. And that rune always means get out into the woods. You've got things to learn, you've got things to see, you've got things to witness. And there's energy to interact with. And so today, out at the woods that I typically go to and have been directed to a particular spot that is it's a very sacred spot. There's a lot of power here. It probably looks not so great. I mean, it's very marshy. It's, muddy. Like behind me is just kind of like a mud pit. And so what's coming through? I've not been out here very long, and I've seen a lot already. What's coming through is that it's both and. We humans are leaving our mark in the environment, and that is natural. It's not unnatural. The most quote-unquote chemical things we do are not unnatural. They're natural. Doesn't mean they're good or positive or that we should keep doing them. That's not what I'm saying. But we are of and in nature, and anything we do in that is of and in nature. The power of that realization is to realize the in nature effects happen. They happen. And the effects of things show their causes. And you can't deny those things. You can't deny the end results. If and where human beings are hurting the planet, ecosystems, other beings, that's an effect of what we've done. It's not deniable. It's just simply not deniable. And so, with that, it's also the case that nature is able to absorb, take up, reuse, and repurpose even some of the messiest things that we do. It's both. That doesn't absolve us of responsibility as beings on a path to increased consciousness. Our path is to become more and more aware, to do better, to be more conscious about our effect, not less. And what is very clear to me, and what has been coming through now for well over a year, really for most of my life, is that at one time human beings understood this in the reverse of how we're coming to it now. See, we think, quote unquote, primitive peoples, or what we think of as maybe native peoples and so on, right? There's these different terms we use for them, and they're all laden with different things. We think that they're less advanced. They haven't learned things. They're sort of infantile or children or whatever. From a Western, science-driven industrialist, etc., post-enlightenment, all these types of things point of view. When the fact is, most of those peoples are the leftovers of a greater civilization that didn't learn the lesson. Those peoples lived simply and with the land because they knew that's a good way to do it. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying everyone needs to get back to the land and everyone needs to live a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, or whatever you want to call it? How you can imagine all kinds of different lifestyles, right? No, it's not what I'm saying. It's not even how it works anyway. We're going to keep going on this path. We're opening doors. We have opened Pandora's boxes. We have opened cans of worms that, once opened, cannot be put back. That cannot be put back. That's the fact. Causes and effects. What we can do is be more conscious going forward. That's what we're being prompted to see out in our world. Last year, when we had so many wildfires, and the smoke from those fires were a constant reminder where I live, because the smoke of that was in our air. We weren't that close to any of the wildfires. Most of the summer, we had wildfire smoke in our atmosphere, pretty much always up high and, in the atmosphere, and then it would descend sometimes. We would get hit with it, and it would get visibly smoky from hundreds, even 1,000 or more miles away. You can't burn a whole forest and not have an effect from it. Not that a human being or a particular human being necessarily decided to make those burnings happen, but it's what we're doing collectively that's making a world where that is more likely to happen. We know this. It's more likely to keep happening. There are things that we can do and do better to keep that from happening, to preserve more landscape. Distracted by the birds flying overhead. To preserve more landscape for the future. And the land will come back. And, Mother Earth isn't... Again, I've said this before. Mother Earth is not so much worried. She's not worried about herself. She's worried about some of her non-human children more than others. That is true. But she's especially worried about us, because we're doing things that can take ourselves down. That's what we're doing. From the way we live with each other in society, our warring ways, to our ways of exploiting resources without thought for the future. Again, it's not about not exploiting resources. Everything exploits resources to live. That's just part of reality. But when you over-exploit, you do damage, and you end up, frankly, shitting in the water that you need to drink in. And it's just that simple. That's all it is, y'all. That's all it is. We need to stop shitting in the water that we need to drink from tomorrow. It's just that simple. And there's no when you boil it down to that, it's not hard. The decisions aren't hard when we look at it from that perspective. There's no short-term monetary profit worth that. That's where the rubber hits the road. There's no short-term monetary profit worth that. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be talking about apparently the rest of these warm months. That's what I'm hearing. I've got a trip that I'm planning. I had planned it to hopefully happen last year, to actually go to the sites of at least some of the Canadian wildfires in the east of Canada. I'm in Michigan, so that's not that far away from me. That's in the works. So yeah, I'm gonna be coming from some different places with messages, because when you get out in these places, different messages come through. The energies begin to speak, and that's part of my role, is to just get into these places, to see what I see, and to speak, and not just, not just to speak for myself, but, as we go along, human beings are also living in these landscapes and need to live in these landscapes, and it affects human beings, like when one group of humans does something that hurts another group, that matters. So yeah, there's a lot here. I don't know how clear this is coming through. I hope what comes through more than anything on this Thor's Day, which I will be marking Thor's Day from now on in some way or the other. Today it's not about working with the lunar energy so much. Today it's about the solar energy. It's a lot of solar energy coming through, and yeah, we do know that so much of what happens on our planet, I don't know if that came out, a cardinal just flew right past me. So much of what happens on our planet is solar driven, is sun driven. That energy is driving a lot. And that, again, that does not absolve human beings from our part in things. It does not. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, because I know there's all these weird ideas about these things. What I'm saying is that solar energy is here for us to use, to absorb, to strengthen us. And the ancestors, there's two different ways that we work with ancestor energy. And this is, I guess, I knew this is something that has been coming up, and I knew it would come up even though I hadn't remembered it till now. There's two different ways we work with ancestor energy. One of those ways is with the energy of the grave, of the energy of visiting our ancestors, of the energy of keeping mementos, artifacts, and so on from our ancestors. Our ancestors are connected to those things. Everything's energy, and anything we touch and handle very often, that becomes connected to us. If you have, say, for instance, a pocket watch from my grandfather, or a little knick-knack or figurine from a grandmother, or an aunt or an uncle, these types of things, right, that they handled and they cared about, and especially if they wanted you to have it, or if you ended up with it in some special way, that matters. There's energy in that, okay? There's connection to that person in that, and that's powerful. We can use that to fuel us. So that's grave energy, right? The energy of the grave. The other way to, and that of course becomes very powerful and potent to work with certain times of the year. Why? Because human beings have decided that, and we've practiced that over and over and over. That's why, because we've chosen it to be that way. And when we align ourselves with the same energies, It's just like a magnet aligning itself to the compass, or compass needle aligning itself to the magnetic field, right? When you line up, everything just kind of, right? It just happens. The other way to work with ancestor energy, and this I don't see talked about enough, is the solar energy. The solar energy has for too long been a patriarchal space, a particularly masculine place. But I'm here to tell you, their grandmothers are speaking through the solar energies right now. That's who's coming through the strongest right now. I have a very strong grandfather energy always with me, and he is literally, as the blue jay keeps getting closer to me, that's flying near. He's literally, my grandpa fought battles with blue jays. Oh my goodness. That's funny with his garden and such. He's stepped aside. It's like, it's all about the grandmothers right now and their ways of thinking and what they want to bring back into the world. So get with that energy right now. It's powerful. It's there for you. It will strengthen you. It will encourage you. And it's really about reclaiming, okay? It's about reclaiming the memories and the personalities that speak to you, that are positive to you. And then letting the rest get cleansed, okay? Because I know for a lot of us, there's a lot of tough family history that it's tough for us to think about. It can bring back trauma feelings. So that's definitely there. But there's a positive aspect too. So, and it's easier, and not just easier. One way to actually clean out that negative is to just refocus on the positive, to reclaim that and reincorporate it into your own life. And as more and more that gets into you, it's gonna just crowd out more and more of that negative stuff. It's kind of like weeding a garden and planting something else there that wants to thrive there, right? So that's what's coming through right now on this Thor's day. Thor is a clumsy old giant, but he wants us to remember that when we see the lightning, that's solar energy too. And even Thor has a grandmother, so more than one. So in any case, hope this finds you well, with love in your heart, peace in your life, sending that and all the light you can stand your way right now.